It's all going down in Newcastle.
You don't want to miss this one.
Join us for the very first IFL Live at London's Indigo at the O2, Sunday, August the 13th, with me, Kugan Cassius, and some very special guests. Eddie Hearn, Darren Barker, Johnny Fisher and more. Tickets now on sale. So in the words of Eddie Hearn,
you get up, you dress up, and you fucking show up.
This is Colin McGuigan for IFL TV, proudly sponsored by Everlast. Frank Smith, why have you got that grin on your face?
I'm happy.
Happy to be in Detroit?
I'm very happy to be in Detroit. The sun is shining, beautiful day. We've got a nice show tomorrow night, live from the Masonic Temple. Don't miss it.
This is a big show for Alicia, time for her to get revenge. In terms of this fight and going forward, does this lead Alicia Baumgardner on to maybe that Michaela Mayer rematch? She has spoke about Katie Taylor. Is that also possible in the future?
Yeah, look, she wants all the big fights, and they're the kind of fights we want to make for her. You know, 100% we want to make the big fights. That's the focus for us. You know, you got obviously Chantel Cameron is going to rematch Katie Taylor. You know, that's a massive fight as well for Alicia Baumgardner. You've got Michaela Mayer, as you say, who's moved up a few weight divisions now. You know, she obviously moved up and maybe looking at 140 as well. But there's massive fights to be made, and that's our focus, as I say, 100% is to make those biggest fights out there.
With this fight as well, obviously Hitchens Love fell off this card. Where is that going to land, Frank? Is there any talk of that landing anytime soon?
Hopefully early September. That's what we're working towards. It's just whether Montana can do that. But look, at the same time, we got to keep Richardson's career going. You know, we can't hold his up because if Montana's not ready, so we need to make a big fight for him. If it's not the Montana Love fight,
who is the big fight for Richardson Hitchens if not Montana Love?
You know, one of the fights we're looking at the minute, a good fight and a step-up fight, is the Lipnitz fight. You know, that could be an interesting fight for him. We got a lot of fighters at 140 though. Interesting, you know, there could be interesting fights and you know, lots of exciting opportunities there.
What's the story over the last few days with Regis Prograis? Obviously, the Haney news is broke. Haney's now speaking. Well, it looks like he's speaking with the Teofimo Lopez. Do you believe that fight maybe happens next for Devin Haney?
I don't think so. I don't think they'll get a deal together. You know, they're talking about 20 million or something before. So I don't believe they will. I still think we can make the Regis Prograis fight happen, and that's 100% the focus for us.
With Regis Prograis, if that fight doesn't happen, what do you do with Regis next? How soon will we see him back in the ring? Someone was speaking about September. Surely that's a little too soon for Regis.
Yeah, no, I don't think it'll be September. I think it'll be late October, November, regardless whether it's the Haney fight or whether it's the Haney fight or if it's another fight for Regis. The WBC have said he can either fight Devin Haney or he can fight, he has to fight Sandor Martin as his mandatory, so we have to see what happens.
If it is Sandor Martin as his mandatory, where does that fight land? Because obviously it's not as attractive to the fans.
No, I think maybe they could make a big play for it in Spain, but we'd obviously, you know, we have to see what happens. Look, the focus for us, we want to deliver a big fight, and that's the Devin Haney fight, and that's what we're working towards currently.
Jack Catterall, obviously in a tough situation, signed with Matchroom, relatively inactive recently. You have a duty of care to look after him. Where does he go next if it is Prograis and Haney?
It was always the plan for Jack to have another fight after his May fight, before a world title shot. It's loud today, isn't it? Yeah, it was always the plan for him to do another fight, you know, before that world title shot. So, of course, we would want to have delivered the Regis Prograis fight or another world title shot. But the focus now is a headline event again around September, October time. I think he's ready late September, Jack. Get him that momentum again and get a world title shot early next year.
What is the date in Manchester? Because a lot of people are saying that Manchester Arena is completely booked from September right through to January. Can you confirm or deny that?
They got a couple of dates we're looking if we can possibly challenge and could be available. If not, there's other venues we can look at maybe creating some kind of setup in. But that's the focus for us, is for him to headline the show.
Did you see the interview with Frank Warren where he was saying that Fury Ngannou is one of the biggest fights in boxing? He really was selling the event. Do you believe this fight is good for boxing?
I think, no, I said it like I said yesterday. I think I'm not sitting here questioning why they've done it at all. I don't think. I think it's kind of like, it's one of those fights. It's like when Jake Paul fought Tommy Fury in terms of, and I'm not comparing the talents of these people, by the way, before I get in any, but the build-up is going to be much better than the fight itself, because you got two completely different, do you know what I mean? Like, that's more my comparison. So I'm not saying it's bad. I think anything that brings eyeballs can be good, but I think when the fight actually happens, it's not going to be that great, because you got a guy who's never boxed before fighting the best in the world. So, like, you know, it's not me trying to be negative about it. It is going to be massive. Hence why I said I can understand why they did it. But it's not going to be a fight of the year or a war. I don't believe anyway. So, we'll see.
I hate to push you on this again, but Conor Benn news we were told is coming this week. We're now at Friday, there's no news. Is that worrying that there's no news?
I think, look, these things do take time, sometimes longer than than anticipated. But you know, as soon as we got news, I'm sure people will know. We're waiting just as anyone else is. So we have to wait and see what happens.
In terms of that fight, obviously everyone wants to see Ben Eubank in terms of, you know, exposure to massive fight. A lot of fans are unhappy with the fact that Conor Benn will come back into the sport cleared if he is cleared. Do you believe that Conor Benn deserves a fair and, you know, like a new chance in the sport now after everything that's happened? And when this comes out, will there be clarity in that?
I don't think people are always going to have their opinion on Conor Benn. It's just a reality now, regardless of the detail they understand. It's like none of us are specialists within this field. There's specialists have been brought in to make a determination on it. The WBC have already done that. They've brought in specialists who have made a judgment call on it. Right? They've gone through all of the detail and they've made a call on it. You know, and the reality is, no matter how much information you share with people, a lot of people are never going to understand it. I probably will never completely understand it, just like you will probably, because it's not what we do. But we have to, as with anything in life, we have to let the people whose job it is to decide these things to make a call. Like I say, I don't think he's ever going to be given the time of day by a lot of people. It's just the reality. You know, I think a lot of people have got their predetermined view on him, regardless of what happens from this situation. But you know, the focus for us is once he's clear and available to box, we get him up and running, because he's a massive star in the sport, and he deserves to get back up and running. Should he get cleared?
You're a bit more advised than the rest of us, so I think my question is: will there be clarity when this report comes out that Conor Benn is clear of everything, that there was no wrongdoing on his behalf?
I think that's what we have to wait and see what comes in the statement. You know, like I say, it will probably be quite a detailed statement that's shared by the parties involved with deciding, and hopefully, yes, it does clear things up for people.
Last one from me. September 9th, Houston, Rocky Hernandez against O'Shaquie Foster, followed by September 16th in Tijuana. Is it looking like that's likely?
That's the plan. Maybe it could be September 15th, though, the Friday for Tijuana. We're just working on the September 9th show and the exact details, but that's the aim.
Who else would maybe land on that show in Houston? Could we see Hitchens Love on that potentially, or not?
I don't know whether Love's going to be ready. Obviously, we can't hold up Richardson's career much longer. We need to make the right fights for him. I think Richardson will be on there. Maybe look at Jessica McCaskill against Sandy Ryan as well. That's about the right time for that. And some other good fights. You know, maybe Austin Williams moves to that with Felix Cash fight not happening. Sorry? Possibly depends on his injury from here, whether he'll be ready, either there or October time. But yeah, that's the kind of thing we're working towards.
Last one, Dimitri Bivol, likely opponent for October?
For who, sorry?
Dimitri Bivol.
Working on it now. Look, as I've said a few times, it is a tough division. There's not tons and tons of names out there. You know, I've seen Anthony Yard mentioned he's supposed to be fighting on the undercard of Joyce. I'd still love to try and see if we can make the Anthony Yard fight in some way. I think that would be a great fight. He's shown, you know, his ability, and you know, he's a tough man. Anthony Yard, and he deserves a chance as well, 100% another chance at a world title shot. But let's see, we're working through it now with the team, but October's the time frame.
Frank, thank you very much for that. Appreciate it.
Cheers, mate.
It's all going down in Newcastle.
You don't want to miss this one.
Join us for the very first IFL Live at London's Indigo at the O2, Sunday, August the 13th, with me, Kugan Cassius, and some very special guests. Eddie Hearn, Darren Barker, Johnny Fisher and more. Tickets now on sale. So in the words of Eddie Hearn,
You get up, you dress up, and you fucking show up.